What up, y'all? Mr. Zoo Nation, aka Savage Armor Jones and Rafa. Welcome to another episode of the Haters Guide. Man, I've been gone for about a few weeks, but to be fair, it was the holidays, so you can't 100% blame me on that. But anyway, man, first video of the new year. Let's get this popping. And I got some beef as usual because today's Monday. But anyway. Alright, so today I'm going to go over in what my honest opinion is the two worst sets that Bushiroad has ever released for Cardfight Vanguard. This one is kind of slightly personal, but not really. But anyway, today I wanted to go over the G Technical Booster Volume 1 and Volume 2. Volume 1 being the Reckless Rampage, and Volume 2 being the Genius Strategy. And then those two will later get rehashed into something else down the line in V-Series. But let's talk about both of these sets. In the Reckless Rampage, we had Tachikaze, Spike Brothers, and Nubatama. In the Genius Strategy, we got Murakumo, Mega Colony, and Great Nature. Now, you're kind of wondering why these two particular sets were like the worst sets in the game. What do all 6 of these clans have in common around the earlier stages of Vanguard G? I'll give you a quick second. They were all Bushiroad did not give a fuck about. These are clans that Bushiroad did not give 2 shits about whatsoever. All 6 of these clans are basically clans that Bushiroad basically was all like, oh, you know what? I know that there are some people who play these clans, but at the same time, we personally don't give a shit about them. So we're basically going to make a whole set dedicated to clans we would not give a fuck about. Basically, that's what both of these particular sets are coming from. And to prove my point, I'm going to talk about all 6 clans and when was the last time they got support before this set came out. And when I'm talking about support, I'm not talking about promos, I'm talking about legitimate support. Now, Technical Booster Volume 2 wasn't so harsh. They kind of sort of got some decently timed support. But Volume 1 is mad atrocious. Alright, so the release date in English for Reckless Rampage was February 19th, 2016. The last time The last time Tachikaze has gotten support in English was in the Blazing Perdition version E, which was one of the Booster 17s when they were trying to rush out the Legion format. This was January 23rd, 2015. So basically, they didn't see any type of support for basically a whole year when you really think about it, because they didn't even get nothing until 2016. And keep in mind that like this is the first time Tachi's has gotten any type of support that wasn't part of the Fighters Collection. Next up, you're having Catastrophe Outbreak. Catastrophic Outbreak. My bad, I'm fucking up. Catastrophic Outbreak that came out in set 13. This was 2014. And this was Nubatama. The last time Nubatama got major support was in 2014 before Reckless Rampage. Now you're kind of thinking this is still around the time where it was like Break Ride and Cross Rides and all this other stuff. So what did Nubatama get in Legion format? A fucking promo. That's all they got was a fucking promo. It's all like, but then you have Legion of Dragons and Blades. This was Spike Brothers. And Spike Brothers came out in 2014. So keep in mind, Spike Brothers was 2014, Nubatama was 2014, and Tachikaze was 2015. But like barely, like in January of 2015. Because this was like literally the last set of like the original Vanguard. And when did Reckless Rampage came out? Reckless Rampage came out in 2016. The Technical Booster 2, the Genius Strategy, it was kind of sort of balanced. Because at least all three of the clans that came in that one was at least had a G, they had a Vanguard G presence and whatnot. Before that, you had Murakumo coming out in Sovereign Star Dragon, which was set 3. Nubatama came out in set 4, which was Soul Striking is Supreme, aka Next Stage. In the birth of like Gear Chronicle format. And you had Soaring Ascent of Gale and Blossom, which is where Great Nature came out in. Alright, and then when is all of these dates? Let's see. Set 2 came out in May 22nd, 2015. Soul Striking Supreme came out on October 2nd, 2015. And Soaring Star Dragon came out in July 10th, 2015. And Technical Booster 2 came out in August 26th, 2016. I do remember that specifically because I opened half a case on this particular channel. I'm not going that far to look for that particular thing. But anyway, anywho, you see the point that I'm trying to give at. This is like a year, technically a year set from each other. Mega Colony was more like 10 months set for each other. Alright, so I basically got my whole point across. Basically these are sets that this is basically major proof that Bushiroad did not give a damn about what these particular units did. But let me go a little bit further. When you look at all six of the boss monsters for each particular clan. Alright, so the boss monster for Nubatama was Sukamura-kan. Now I'm gonna be real with you, Sukamura-kan was kind of busted. Sukamura-kan was that one particular one. Your opponent chooses 4 cards from his or her hand, binds the rest face down, and then they get it back. So it was basically like pre-Jammy Congo. That's not completely bad, so I can't necessarily 100% blame Bushiroad for that though, but you also gotta remember that Nubatama was very, very they were very underdeveloped at this particular time. So honestly, it was like the card was good though, but this is one of those things where it only gets better towards the end of G, sadly. Then there was Destruction Tyrant Twin Tempest. I'm gonna be real with you, like, he was kind of meh. He wasn't really even that good because I felt like Gluttony was better. And this is me coming like as like a Tachikaze main. Like, Gluttony was better. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I think I literally stopped using Twin Tempest when they came out with the second Gaia. I think that's when I stopped using Twin Tempest. Because we had because Gaia Devastate was way better. And then Dirty Picardo. Okay, I will admit, out of all, Dirty Picardo, out of all 6 of the current one, of all 6 of the boss monsters, Dirty Picardo was the most consistent one. Like, you can play Spike Brothers now and still use Dirty Picardo as like a tech. Not saying that you can't do the same thing with Sukamura-kan, but you can definitely Dirty Picardo. Most definitely you can use them as like a different thing. So that's something to like think about. All right, then you have Technical Booster 2, where you had Shibaraku Buster. Okay, let me explain why I love and hate this card. Shibaraku Buster, in my personal opinion, was one of the best boss monsters that Murakumo has ever came out with. I loved using Shikaraku Buster. The issue that I have with Shikaraku Buster was when they came out with the Erratatex. So before the Erratatex, um, the card that you call can do a dry check at any given time once. However, when the Erratatex came out, it turned out that you can only do you can do the drive check with the rear guard, but you can only it has to be the literal first attack. But then like a few months later, they come out with the Road Paladin they come out with the Road Paladin Legend deck, I think. No, wait. Was it yeah, they come out with the Road Paladin Legend deck. And their boss monster allow Blaster Blade or Alfred to attack and do the dry check at any given time. So I'm trying to figure out why in the hell was Shibaraku Buster, despite that you can choose any unit, why was Shibaraku Buster the one that said that unit specifically had to attack first, while Blaster Blade and Alfred had the ability to use it at any given time? Because and I'm trying to figure out, because that was completely BS. If it wasn't for that errata, I guarantee you Shibaraku Buster will be a lot more valuable than he currently is. But still, I still like using Shibaraku Buster. I don't even care. Then you had Optorandus. Alright, so Optorandus is a card that would get better later in Mega Colony's timeline, like towards the end of the G era. But the issue I had with this card when it first came out, especially as a Mega Colony main, was that you negged. It was such a good skill, but you negged. And let me explain why you negged. At this particular time, Mega Colony only had literally 3 ways to countercharge. The first one was using the PG that allowed you to countercharge if there was another copy in the graveyard. There was Vulcan that only could countercharge at the beginning of your main phase. And it's all like, so it had to stay on the field that whole particular time. Luckily, if you had a Dark Phase Vanguard, you were able to it had like resist. But then you had Widowmaker, Whittle. You have Whittle, that was a stand trigger that it went into the soul at the end phase. So and you can countercharge one. So it was like you literally had to sacrifice good number columns in order to use Whittle. And I thought that was the most bullshit thing I've ever seen. Meanwhile, look at Nova Grappler, where they have all the free countercharge in the fucking world. But that's just me. It's all like, this required a Counterblast 2 and a discard effect in order to prevent your opponent from calling anything to the rearguard circle until the end of their turn. And I was all like, this is a very good effect, but it makes it near impossible to use it, because 2 Counterblasts in Mega Colony at that time was like the equivalent of 4 Counterblasts. That's basically what it is. Basically, anything that required a counterblast, you double it. So if it required a counterblast 1, it was basically the equivalent of counterblasting 2, and vice versa. I mean, and the sad thing was, so many of the best effects required you to counterblast, and Mega Colony didn't really have any Mega Blast, and I mean, not Mega Blast, and Counterblast, and they didn't really have any counterblasting whatsoever. That's what made this like semi-trash, but not really. And then last but not least, you have Affleck. Affleck, from Great Nature. This card was kind of sort of alright. It wasn't like the best. I felt like the Big Belly stride was way better than this. But at the time, it was a pretty decent thing, and I feel like that Great Nature out of all 6 of these clans didn't really struggle that hard for good strides. I'm gonna just be real with you on that, because even if the current stride they got really wasn't that good, at least they had like 5, 6 or other ones to back it up. So I mean, it was like Great Nature at this particular time, if I remember correctly, they didn't struggle with a final stride, they struggled with a beginning stride. And I feel like that we never got that quote unquote beginner stride until after G. So overall, I think it was completely BS for Bushiroad to do this particular set altogether. Reason being is because why would these 6 particular clans actually get shafted by not really getting that much support to a point where they actually had to give them their own booster? But then you have shit like Gear Chronicle, shit like Shadow Paladins, shit like World Paladins. Those 3 particular clans is getting support on a consistent basis, especially Gear Chronicle. And yes, I understand Gear Chronicle was still new at that particular time, so of course they need to catch up with everything else. And then at the same time, it was the main character clan, so of course it was going to get all the attention because it was the main character clan. But damn it, enough was enough at one particular point. At one particular point. Okay, 3-4 times a year, maybe. Not every other fucking set. Not every set they had to get some. So I'm gonna be real with you. This was, in my personal opinion, one of the dumbest sets. I'll probably go a little bit more in detail with these particular sets because I do feel like that even though these 6 clans got screwed over, there was a couple of gems here and there in these particular sets. But for now, my name is Mr. Z Nation, aka Salvatore Jones Rafa, signing out.